FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, ain't no need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. KDot and Amit, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Trying to dance why, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the words, or shit is shit. KDot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. This episode, Commanders OTAs have begun. So we're going to go into some of the reports that we've heard so far, what we like, what we don't like, etc. And that also means that Jayden Daniels is now on the microphone once again, speaking to people. Did a nice little one-on-one chat with BC, did it with the media as well. So we're going to chat about that. And we're going to talk about the latest Commanders log that came out, where it was pretty awesome going through the draft picks and seeing the emotion and excitement from all the families, seeing how together the front office was. So we'll chat about that in a really large comment mailbag. So before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
Jayden's bulked up. OTAs in swing. We are hunters always. That's our thing. Shout out to Rio. His takes were clean and got our common mailbag bursting at the seams. How to all the new folks here? Don't just sit, commit. Here's the drill, bitch, now. Now share this shit.
Share this shit. And to echo what KDot said, thank you again to Rio Robinson for joining us last week. We'll read his comment that was also in the comment mailbag. And so, yeah, thanks once again, Rio. If you're watching, really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. The guys are back on the football field. So the NFL season that much closer. We're already within the 100 days. I know we were doing the countdown last time. So we'll see if we end up doing it again. Or maybe not this time. But less than 100 days until the NFL kicks off, KDot. And the guys are back. Jayden looks massive relative to what he looked like last year. What have you in your thoughts so far from what you've heard about OTAs? You can go offense, defense, the floor is yours.
First and foremost, the whole Jayden bulking up thing is hilarious. Like, he does look a bit stronger than he does, but he's still lean as shit. I was reminded, I was listening to something online, and they were reminding us that a couple years back, they released the photos of like Jeremy Reeves. And it was at a particular angle where it was like, he was like, holy shit, did you take the LaRon Landry treatment? And when the reporters came in for OTAs and they were asking, like, what'd you do? And he's like, what are you guys talking about? And they showed him the picture and they're like, he's like, I don't know what angle they caught me at, but that is not how I look. And that's the vibe that you get with the Jayden thing, is like that I don't know what's up with the Commanders photo team, but they take amazing photos of these guys at times. I'll tell you right now, Frankie Louvu. I'm deep. But it's like, Jayden's putting on more weight. That's a good thing. We just want him to bulk up, to have a little bit more armor than he typically does, and that's a good thing. I loved hearing that. I loved hearing about B. Mitch being around the punt returners, especially around Jaylin Lane. Look, some guys are great at coaching, some guys aren't. I don't know if Brian Mitchell is that great at coaching or not, but I do love the idea that even if they're not in the full coach mode, from what I heard even from John Keim, is that it's more like one-on-one conversation, just kind of kicking game, kicking knowledge. And that to me is something that we have in spades, and we are able to go back into the history books and pull some of these guys out, just because like everybody learns it a little differently. And if you're able to just spit some game to somebody, maybe it'll be something that hits. Because I don't think Lane was a big returner in college of that at all. So B. Mitch kind of same deal. And then we all know that he became a historical return, probably one of the greatest, if not not the greatest of all time, but probably the most consistent of all time. I will say that. Debo, everybody's saying he looks big, he looks hungry in more ways than one, but all skewing positive. I did hear a lot of good things about Mike Sanders still. You can see that he definitely doesn't look like a rook anymore. And then the one that everybody I think has been lauding is the Trey Amos stuff, which is what he picked off. Picked off something inside that was supposed to be the Gallup, broke up another pass. They're saying Amos looks like, unlike anybody that came in rookie-wise at the defensive back crew in Washington in quite some time. It's like he's just got a natural instinct for it. Lord knows it's not what we heard about Benjamin St. Juice. It's not what we heard about Emmanuel Forbes. We didn't even hear that necessarily about Mikey Sanders still, as much as it was like his attitude, right? So like it seems as though they might have found something truly special in this Trey Amos pick, which is awesome. As for the thing, so all those things alike. Things I don't like. Terry McLaurin, understood. Contract. He's done this before. No big deal. Dan Quinn thought about it. Everybody's on the same page. They want to get him back in here. I just want him in the building. It's always good to have him in the building. So get the fucking contract done, okay? Yeah. But the other two guys that weren't there, as far as Laremy Tunsil and Marshon Lattimore, I don't love it. It's not a big deal. These are like everybody has to do the prerequisite. It's voluntary OTAs. But we also know in the second year of this regime, this has not been a team so far looking at last year and this year when we talk about that culture setting. The guys show up, and they're usually here for everything, regardless of voluntarily or not. And you look at outside of Terry McLaurin, the two guys that are additions to this team from a veteran standpoint that already have shown something along this league not being here. I don't love it, but it's not necessarily a big deal or anything that I know so far. I know Laremy Tunsil is not one that usually shows up from what I understand in the past. And Marshon Lattimore, I wish I just understood exactly what was happening with Marshon Lattimore, but it is good that Dan Quinn did say, hey, I've been in contact with all of them. We're keeping constant communication. I just, from a culture set standpoint, want to see everybody here at all the times.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's a good point. That's sort of the elephant in the room. Like Laremy Tunsil, not there. Marshon Lattimore, not there. Terry, we understand not being there. For me, KDot, it's just not a big deal at all. Like Laremy Tunsil, veterans have their own process, and I trust Laremy to be totally fine. He needs to just make sure he's solidified at left tackle. He'll be good to go. I'm cool with that. And he'll have plenty of time during training camp to be able to do that. Marshon Lattimore, my thing with him is I think a lot of people are looking at last season and going, man, you better be there, right? Because you didn't play very well. You had the hamstring, and that's where I'm going with it. He had the hamstring. So I just need him to be fully healthy. If he needs more time away during the voluntary portion of it, I'm cool with it. I trust he's going to bring it come training camp and come the start of the season. So for me, no problems at all. I get the sour taste in the mouth for some fans where they're like, man, I want to see you bought in after last season. I think he's bought in. I think he's just taking some time. I got no problems with that. So that's where I stand on it.
Is there anything you're basing that on other than good vibes and hope?
He's a vet, man. Yeah, I mean, he is to me still.
What does that mean?
A veteran in the league?
No, motherfucker. What does that mean as far as motherfucker that wants to be part of the locker room and not part of the locker room? Like we've seen it go both ways. I'm saying, like, I get where you're coming from. I do not think the sky's falling. The only time I heard anything was that there was a chance that the Marshon Lattimore thing could be tied to some contract stuff, just because we know the way that one of the positives as far as the deal for Marshon Lattimore is we can kind of jettison him without having any real consequences. But that might be a thing that he wants more money. If that's the case, when once again, that's not reported, just been floated out there. If that's the case, and I'm looking at him and his agents like, motherfucker.
Yeah, I was going to say, if that's the case, he's an idiot. Right. and his agent's an idiot. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. There's no leverage based on last season. So I don't think that's it. So yeah, I remember reading that too and going, yeah, okay. There's no chance that's actually it from a logical standpoint. If it is, all right. But for me, it's much more, hey, he's a corner. Oftentimes it's going to be one-on-one. He needs to lock in. He needs a healthy body. That's my first and biggest priority for him. So that's where I'm coming from with that. I trust what he can do. I don't think that he's suddenly this bad player. I think he's legit. I think he just needs to be fully healthy.
So you're the one that convinced me that it was bad.
Okay. I just told you it was the line of demarcation, and that's when we started taking it very, very seriously. That's what I
was just asking because I'm like, you giving me mixed bags. I mean, apparently he's the worst thing that ever happened to this administration, and then it's like, I don't get it. But I will say, as far as the guys, because I think that's the biggest news out of the OTAs, other than the Jayden stuff that we'll kind of get to. I did like the Quinn has been Quinn had a response to the question as far as some of the guys not being here. And his response was like, this is not a one size fits all sort of situation. Like he knows certain guys are going to make certain leeways here. Certain guys are going to, I just need to know they're going to show up. So, I mean, as long as that's the accountability piece that's always been a part of it, do whatever you got to do. Once again, the sky's not falling. But just from a culture standpoint, when we talk about like coming into this season, like, Bobby Wagner was top priority for you.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, I like the idea of Bobby too, in the sense of like the second year of the install, but maybe we have enough in the locker room to make it. When I see things like that, I'm like, that's why you still have a Bobby Wagner in the locker room. It's just to make sure that when you get in some of the new guys and some of the vets, like, I don't feel like doing that. I'm professional. I still want to keep that rah.
Of course. I do too. On the subject of Terry McLaurin not being there, not only do I not mind it, I'm so cool with it. It's like, because now I'm seeing it from the other perspective of like, one, I fully trust that the organization is going to get a deal done with Terry, right? It's OTAs. If he takes more time, I trust he's doing the work for sure, right? Smart money is like Terry's doing his work. So I'm not worried about that. Additionally, it gives Jayden the opportunity to get more repetitions with Deebo Samuel, with Michael Gallup, with Jaylin Lane, right? So like those reps, you're saving the Terry reps and giving them to other people that he needs to develop rapport with. So I actually love it that Terry's not there. I think he would be there if there weren't a contract dispute at all.
He's been there for everything else.
Exactly. So like, I'm totally cool with Terry taking some time. He's deserved it. He's earned it. And he will eventually get that contract. So that's where I stand on the Terry McLaurin absences. I'm actually like loving it because it's not training camp yet. If he starts missing training camp, then I'm starting to get a little nervous, but he's right now, I think it's in a great place. That's where I'm at.
The only other thing that I want to mention before I'm guessing we're going to slide into the next part or the next segment because we got a long episode.
Indeed we are.
Yeah. All of last year, I heard it was perfect. You know, I've talked about it here on the podcast, and I'm like, when is he going to have a bad day as far as the game goes? And the word has come out. Jayden did not have necessarily a bad day, but he did not have a day as good as usually he has had out there.
Well, he's jacked now. Takes time.
Okay. So, like, from what I understand, he missed some throws. Everybody, I keep hearing more about one in which I guess the coverage was busted. Luke got free, and he just missed him on a deep throw. Nobody seems to be concerned about it. It's just in a case of, is this man a human being? I guess there is one slight sliver in the column of potentially. like maybe. But no, there's no skies falling shit. Nobody seems to be up. It was literally like they want to guess, not to mention, like you said, Terry's not there. So they're trying some shit. And then like things happen.
And if I'm Jayden and I already feel, comfortable in my role, I'm established, and one, I'm allowed to have a bad day. Two, I'm probably messing around. It's OTAs. Everyone's back. Let's have some fun with it, right? They even had the Commanders' Twitter account post him doing sort of a almost Matt Stafford, like he's looking one way, sort of side art, like enjoying himself. If he had a bad day, he had a bad day. If he's messing around, he's messing around. I'm totally good with it and not concerned. Again, if he starts missing more consistently, it's like, oh, okay. But if it's just one day, let the kid have some fun. And good news, KDot, that much closer to Shades, where he throws more interceptions than touchdowns one time. And then we know he's just a good person. Just going back to that.
Once again, I'm just trying to make sure he's human.
Just trying to make sure he's human. Shout out Trey Amos for getting an interception. And the reports around him, like KDot was saying, really, really nice. We'll get into it in the Commander's log where Adam Peters even said, hey, I think we got 2 first rounders here, honestly. So we'll get to Trey Amos a bit more as well. Any final thoughts here before we move to Jayden?
Shout out to Cliff. I'm a Euro guy.
Yeah. In this economy? No, listen. So let's go over to Jayden Daniels and his interviews with Bryan Colbert and along with the media over there. So it's good to see Jayden back on the mic. That's where people saw, the new muscles that he was showing off, and everyone was like, oh my God, Jayden. Heck, I'm not going to lie. I fed into it too. I was like, oh, look, Jayden looks big. We got like 100 likes on the thing. KDot, your reaction to the interviews. You could pick either one, honestly, and what your takeaways were from them.
As a podcast consumer, quite a lot. There's one podcast I listen to quite a bit. It's the Joe Budden podcast. Shout out to JPP. An ongoing thing and this is I'm coming from like left with all this shit. And like an ongoing topic of conversation because there was a Jayden's mother made an appearance on the Pivot podcast a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And was talking about like everybody's seen the jokes about the cock blocking and this, that, and the other that his mom's doing. I cannot describe to you how happy it was for me to hear him talk about the support system that he has around him, and especially the people to say no.
Yes.
God rest his soul, Dwayne Haskins, who I thought that you heard little inklings when he first got here about like the draft party and certain things and this, that, and the other. And it's like I said, look, for some people, it's just I don't think it's a character flaw. I actually think it makes you a good person to want to bring all the people around you and to put everybody on and have all these things happen. It's just hard to do that and still maintain your professionality as far as if something as hard as football goes. But to hear how locked in Jayden is and to see how everyone around him is locked in around making sure that the thing is the thing, that's what puts that man lights years ahead of a lot of the other guys out there, right? It's like it takes a village, and his village is strong as hell. And they are making sure that they have his back, and they're allowing him to do the things that he needs to do to lock in and play football. I love that anytime anybody's tried to ask him about what it is he's doing this last offseason, it's like, I don't want to talk about that shit. Like, we're back, man. Football time.
Right.
What are we doing? Like, this is why I'm here. I'm back, and we're ready to get to it. To see your quarterback have his game face, I'll put it this way. My number one quarterback coming out of this last draft was J.J. McCarthy because of the intangibles piece.
Yes.
Every day that goes by is showing me, because I don't really see much of J.J. McCarthy anymore, so I don't know anything or can't reference anything to, but Jayden's showing that he's light years ahead of almost anybody else I've ever seen as far as the intangibles piece. Every one of these little interviews, it's just proving it out through and through that we have the complete package of quarterback.
We do. It was nice to get confirmation. I think he'd even said it in the past. He's like, hey, I'm just a very introverted person. You're not going to see me go to all these places. I don't really want to. Right. And so then we get into the support system and having people to say no for you because he himself feels uncomfortable saying no.
Right.
Right. So it's nice that he has that support system. And in terms of a sophomore slump, he is as well equipped as anybody to avoid it. Right. Given that support system, given how dialed in he is to football. Mm-hmm. That being said, it is his first ever full offseason. And he even talked about how important Bobby Wagner was to being able to help navigate that because it is his first one and everyone wants a piece of him. Right. And so I'm curious to see how that continues to unfold now that we're getting closer to the season. I think there are going to be some cobwebs actually that he needs to sort of get the rust off and be like, cool, it's just football again. Because for a while there, it wasn't. Right. He can do his best to make it about football, but there are going to be a lot of asks, requirements. Heck, it's a small thing, but even the Juju Watkins thing, right, where they're just smiling together. That's a thing all of a sudden, right? Like it's all the little things of him just living his life normally that did not have thousands of retweets one off season ago when he's preparing for the draft. Now it does, right? Now his mom's in the news. So I'm curious to see how all that gets navigated. And I think he looks relieved was my takeaway from the interviews. He looks relieved to be back. And I think he's excited to be back. He looked a bit more relaxed, even when he was answering the questions. He just seemed like, we're here now. Like this
you want the guys that look a little broken if they don't have the thing they love with them. And that's the thing that it looks like for Jayden is like, if the game's not happening, he's not playing. And I think you kind of felt a little bit of that even last offseason when it was like getting to play the games. It's like, this training camp stuff is fun. And like, I'm doing this, I'm doing everything. I want to play. You just kind of I just kind of want to play. So like, I love that that's kind of where he's at. It's like, you're not going to hear him complain about doing the work as long as he's back in the building, focusing on his main focus. I always think about that story you said about as the anecdote of the Super Bowl with him wanting to just study the tape that he was looking at. Like, it hasn't left his mind. He just wants to go back out there and prove it's something different. But what I will say, to tie everything together, especially the Jayden piece, when we're talking about like the village or the mentality sake of it, Dan Quinn got asked in the press conference, I think it was Scott Abraham. He cut him off because Scott was talking about like basically the expectations now.
Yep,
with
I was just going to get to that.
National media and all the shit. And I dropped it in the little rhyme at the beginning, but we are hunters always, regardless of the situation. We're not the hunt. We are hunters always. That to me speaks to this mentality, and you can kind of see it in Jayden. You can kind of see it in everybody else. Is like, okay, we don't care. Like you tell us that we're on the news, we're in the media, we're on the podcast, we're doing this, that, and the other. We don't give a shit. It doesn't change what we're doing here in the building and what it is we need to do. And it feels as though every time you see our players talk or every time you see the coaches are doing anything, Everyone's got the same thing on their mind. That to me was chief in that Jayden interview, the one-on-one he had with BC, as well as what it is that you saw in the press conference. It felt like everybody's moving in the right direction. And it brings to that other note, another thing that is, I don't think we give enough credence to, and I heard John Keim say this, we didn't lose a single coach this offseason. That doesn't happen. We are locked the fuck in, guys. Like, this is dope. This is dope to see.
Yeah, it's super dope. The conversation around expectations, especially specific to Jayden, is such a fascinating topic, and I think could be its own episode, honestly. Dan Quinn handled it beautifully in terms of expectations for the team. That, hey, we are hunters. This is who we are. The hunted, screw that. We're going after them. That's the mindset. That's the mentality. I love that. And Dan Quinn, even talking about the absentees and OTAs, you can see why the NFL players, where they did that report card, Dan Quinn got the A+. The guy just says the right thing over and over and over, and it's authentic and it's genuine. He's a leader of men. God bless him. Great call, KDot, on that. He's been an excellent hire. Absolutely excellent hire. When it comes to Jayden, and Cliff, of course, is like, yeah, I expect him to take a jump, as he should. That's the way Cliff's wired. I do think that the way we built, and Rio, you, me, and Rio were talking about this last episode, I do think the way that we built the roster, or the additions we made, were to take some off Jayden's plate, because the expectations nationally are sky high. And that was going to be part of his offseason too. He's a human. He's hearing the noise. And a lot of it's going to be, hey, we're not asking you to, we may tell them we're asking you to do this because that's the right thing to do, but we're going to have you do, hey, same shit you did last year was pretty cool, dude. Like, you could just operate there. And as you continue to get more comfortable, you can let it rip and get comfortable. So I think a lot of it with Jayden is going to be internally managing expectations. Externally, blow them up. It's fine. Internally managing expectations so that he can stay comfortable. He's still a second-year player, and he's still developing. It's crazy. But I'm so fascinated to see how we internally manage those expectations and what we ultimately ask him to do once the regular season rolls around. Jayden's handled the interviews very well so far. I think he's excited to be back, and I think he's calm. I think he's calming down, actually. It was sort of my read. And curious to see what it looks like once he is on the field again. And we have a Deebo Samuel. We have Laremy Tunsil, Josh Conerly. We have Bill, Jacory, Croskey-Merritt, who people are high on. We'll see what it looks like, KDot. Jaylin Lane as well, of course. A darling, absolute darling in the Commander's log, which we'll touch on momentarily.
Yeah, it's just it's everything's good across the board right now. I'm feeling pretty confident in just where it is the team itself is. Everybody's saying the right things. It does really feel like we're all working towards the same direction. It just, this feels different, but the way it's supposed to be, not the bullshit that we've been seeing or having to experience for how many years prior to this nonsense.
KDot, we're all managing this offseason, to be real. It's not just the players, like even the fans are like, what do we do here? But the conversations you have with friends, like everything is so different this offseason relative to off seasons past.
No, it's nuts. Like even one of my clients, the Commander Center podcast, like they're actually recording tonight. Fred Smoot and them, they're recording at my client. And I was in a meeting today, and we were talking about the expectations of the fans going into this season, like what to expect and what we're doing, and how for the first time in forever, we actually are taking into account what the Commanders are doing in the sense of the way that we're handling programming or anything with the bar. That's not something that we ever had to do before. Like it's cool as shit that like these things that are supposed to happen are here. One piece on the one piece before we jump out of here. Shout out once again to the guy John Keim. As far as like the difference in year 2 compared to year 1, and what you're saying as far as like some of the places, some of the pieces that have been brought in. I know you said to take certain things off of Jayden's plate. What I think it is that we brought in very, very key people. The install has happened. We know what this team is. We know what it is. They expected the set of expectations. Everything are here. They are set. right now, when you're hearing about like what it is to working on an OTAs, and I know it's early, but when you hear the coaches and stuff talk about, this is about honing in on certain physical tools, certain skill sets at this particular point in time to really hone in and get you better at. So when we're talking about like the defense, we struggled when it came to run defense more than it comes to pass defense, stuff like that. It's like, all right, we got guys that are going to be specialists in this thing that can make sure that we're bringing this component out, and we want to make sure that we're getting as best as we can to get this done right. It feels as though we're stepping into year 2, which is more of the teaching. It felt like year 1, remember, we all talked about culture set. Year 2 really feels as though we're stepping into, all right, it's time for everybody to get better now. It's time for the coaches. And that's the thing. That's the thing that made us so excited about this coaching staff, is the knowledge, right? And the ability to teach. And it felt as though last year was just sort of like, hey, we're doing the install. This year, now we on our P's and Q's. You need to do this in that way, in that order, and make it done. To see Conerly not with the starters. Fuck yeah. That's the shit right there. Not just being handed to you, and we didn't even talk about it. It's the expectation now. This is the shit.
Well, you know what? This sort of transitions perfectly into that Commander's log, which is all about the rookies, all about the front office. And you talk about teaching being a focal point here in this second season. We had culture first season, teaching second season. How about Kain Medrano going, look, I didn't really know what team, but I know I love Coach Norton. There's your teacher right there. I've worked with him for 2 years, and I know I want to be with the best, and he is the best. Right. So that just speaks to keeping all the coaches like we've talked about, and that connection being there. It was awesome to see the raw emotion from Kain Medrano getting drafted and being reunited with Coach Norton. He gets so excited on the phone when he hears Norton's voice, and you're just like, man, this is the right culture for it. And now let's continue teaching. Wouldn't be surprised if he hits the ground running. KDot, but let's talk about it as a whole. What was your takeaway from the Commander's log? Any favorite moments? Floor is yours.
I think it's all just kind of fitting the same theme of everything that's making me excited, which is like how well it feels to know that everybody's on the same page. And it doesn't feel as though when guys get drafted, it's like, that's a Commander. And you hear the guys talk about it, and it's like, I see it. I see it. I know. When you hear them talk, yeah, that's a Commander. Like that's you see how family-centric everybody is and how much that is a focal point in what it is that they want to bring to this. That, to me, is like, that's the through line that's speaking volumes to me more than anything else, is that we went from, and I think this is where a little side tangent in the sense of when people still want to bitch about the name or anything, blah, 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 blah. Commanders was just a word. Just a word. It means something to me now when I fucking hear it, right? When I see Commander's log and I'm seeing the way that we operate, I can sense what it feels like. And that's all I've been looking for. Once again, it used to mean something more than it does in the last year, but what it meant to be a Raven, like you kind of knew. For worse part, what it meant to be a Raider. You knew a Raider when you saw a Raider.
Oh, yeah.
And not feeling good about it. So it's like, this just feels as though everybody's on the same page with everything. And like, to know that like, there are guys, it's like, not only do I trust when you see the process, and we all kind of knew how it happened as far as the Conerly pick. Nobody really had Conerly at that particular point in time, except us, except our organization. Definitely not us on the podcast, but the organization.
Simmons, maybe an edge rusher. Right. Exactly.
Right. Trey Amos, in the sense of, like you said, they felt, yeah, we got a second fucking first round pick in Trey Amos. That's how we feel. Is to know that they had their guys. They had their guys, and it's not smoke. It's not bullshit. It's not one of those things after the fact when you hear somebody say it, like anything you hear out of Chicago. This is our guy all along, or I always wanted to be here. No, we don't believe you. You need more people. Like it feels through. There's a through line. There's a fun that's happening. People feel comfortable in their own skin and to be themselves and to be a Commander. Like you can see it. It feels as though it oozes from everybody in the sense of like what I always wanted to see with this team is outside of like the guys that have been here. Every once in a while, you get your Ryan Kerrigans, the guys that are here for like 10 years and they go on somewhere else. I want more of the guys that are here for a cup of coffee, and it still looks weird to see them in another fucking uniform because they're a commander. That vibe, the mentality doesn't fit anywhere else. It's here. And to know that, like, soon enough, we're going to be hearing about, like, somebody getting hired somewhere, like, they're building the Commanders on the West Coast. Like, that's the shit that we're headed towards. And that
absolutely. A couple things stood out to me with the Josh Conerly pick in particular. Just how it opens. For those that haven't seen it, first off, check it out. It's awesome. It's nothing but a celebration, really. It's very, very fun. It's all around our draft picks. It's around the National Harbor, a bunch of Commanders fans getting out there. Jeremy Reeves on the microphone for a little while. It's cool to see. The Conerly pick was interesting because two things came up. One, they were shocked he was there. So what that means to me is that we evaluate differently from the rest of the league. And I also trust our evaluations. So that means moving forward, if all GMs remain the same, scouting remains the same, you know, we can continue to do that. Trey Amos pick also confirms that, right? I'm shocked he's there. We feel we got 2 first rounders. Then you hear about the reports from OTAs. It's like, hey, Amos is a guy. Okay, well, it kind of validates what we're talking about. I really hope Jayden Daniels was the one that threw that pick, by the way. I don't know who did, but I hope Amos picked Daniels off. That's what I'm hoping for. That's a good sign because I trust Jayden. The other thing about the Josh Conerly pick, and I had to rewind this to make sure I heard it correctly, they said that was Joe's guy too. I was like, Joe Witz? The defensive coordinator's guy was the offensive lineman from Oregon as well? Like, you talk about how locked in everybody is, right? So one, I'm shocked he's there. 2, our defensive coordinator thinks he is the best guy available. Like, that is, you think the prior regime's doing this? No. I mean, it is so nice to see. And you see Conerly's footwork. Oh, my Lord. Like, I'm not an O lineman. I'm not going to pretend I know what the footwork looks like, but I can tell you this. It's smooth as butter. And even I can tell. So, like, that, I am excited for him. And there's already a Trent Williams comp out there. I'm not about to do that. Just to be clear. Just to be clear. It's just what I heard. It's just what I heard. As far as I'm concerned, we maybe got 5 All-Pros. 5 Hall of Famers. I mean, it is exciting right now. This was a great Commanders lock, KDot.
And as high as everyone is on Conerly, before the draft, during the draft, after the draft, you guess what, young son? You ain't with the starters yet because you're a rookie. Earn your shit. And that's what they do. From the moment that any of them get on the phone, and it's basically Dan Quinn screaming at them, you're a bad motherfucker. That's why you're here. And outside of being a bad motherfucker, which is the reason you're here, we're going to do hard shit with good people. And you believe it. You know that, like, you get the phone call. It's not, oh, shit, I made it. That's the other thing is, like, I notice with every single one of the calls that we have, and some draft rooms are different, and I'm not trying to say that's for everybody, but the vibe that I got from the guys is, like, the phone call comes in, and it's not, oh, shit, I did it. I made it. It's, when can I go to work? Kain, right. I need the playbook, coach. Like, where the playbook at? Like, I need the playbook. Like, let's get started. Like, that's what you want. You want the guys who are like, yeah, we're ready to work. I'm ready to work. I just want the opportunity. I'm ready to fucking work. You got one. You got a great one. Rookie running back. I mean, I know I was kind of throwing cold water on it last week with you and Rio.
You're going to be nice.
I'm sorry. RB1 might actually mean something to me. All right. I'm just saying, that's that dog. No, forget dog. Forget dog. Forget. That's that commander mentality. That's what you want to see. It oozes from all of them. Like, I'm looking right there at the little graphic there at the bottom. Look at the bottom of the screen. Look at all them guys. That was the Commanders, man.
Those are Washington Commanders. I just loved when Adam was like, yeah, we're going with Bill. And and even Anthony Lynn's like, I've been calling you Jacory this whole time. You're going to have to explain this Bill shit to me the moment you get over here. He's like, I got you. Ready to go to work. That was fun. I think it was either Trey Amos or Jaylin Lane. I think it was Jaylin Lane who just kept saying, appreciate you, coach, to Adam Peters over and over again. And then Adam Peters was like, all right, I'm going to give you to coach DQ now. And he's like, hey, what's up? It's DQ. He's like, wait, what's up, coach? He's just calling everyone coach. I just love that. It was a little snippet that I really enjoyed. He's so excited, right, to be drafted. It was just very heartwarming. It was great to see all the families involved and their excitement that they were coming to Washington, of course, but like seeing these players get to live out their dreams now. And there is that relief that, man, I did make it to this stage. And that's where the being a commander really kicks in, because I think all these guys know, hey, I made it. There's a lot of work to do. I trust the org to get me there, though. So there is a mutual trust, and I think our guys get it. So I'm very, very excited for this upcoming rookie class, KDot.
I love the mutual trust piece, and it's trust in the sense of trust you can trust. So like when you hear the Kain Medrano, Ken Norton combo, is like some of these guys have like, that's the other thing which is so impressive about the coaching staff is like you start looking and you like all these guys might have potentially like known somebody, or they might have had a conversation here, or like there are bits of wisdom that seem like they're being picked up here and there by people. But look, every year I see a draft class and I get excited about the draft class, this, that, and the other. I will tell you, I have never been more excited in my history of watching this team outside of the Sean Taylor draft, because I was really high on that draft. Outside of these last two draft class, I'm over the fucking moon. Like I'm all the way there. You guys know how I felt about Ben Sennett. You know how I feel about Luke McCaffrey. And coming into this season, like, look, fell in love with Conerly. So, like, I saw Conerly's tape early, didn't really expect him. And then they post looking at his tape in the interviews and stuff, fell in love. I think we got a dude in Trey Amos. I legitimately think we got three dudes that I'm ready to like book closed. I know what I get. I'm good. And the two other guys, so that Conerly, Trey, Jaylin. I'm all in. Bill and Kain. What I love is that even if they don't make it, if I'm not willing to just say they're done, they're good to go, there is not a single iota, there's not a single cell in me that doesn't think these dudes ain't showing up to work their absolute asses off to do everything that they can do to provide, to just be there for the team. It's both those guys, they got chip on their shoulders, and they want to fucking prove something to everybody, and I fucking love it.
And the two guys that you're not, let's say fully sold on, let's just use that word right now, fully sold on yet, right? Kane's got a leg up because he knows Ken Norton, so he can hit the ground running over here like we were talking about. That's an advantage for him.
100%.
Does he immediately have an impact? It's on the board because of that relationship. He knows exactly what Ken wants to do. And then with Bill, as soon as Anthony learns his name, like what's going to be super cool is that he's got probably the best vision in the running back room already, right? And the reason he fell to the 7th round, got to remind people, it's because he didn't play last year. I'm willing to bet some teams didn't know about him. I know that's going to sound crazy. That's some NFL teams, but I guarantee you some NFL teams just aren't that thorough.
They're not.
All right. And they probably were like, wait, what? Like, and that's the stuff that we pick up on, and getting him in the room. We talk about wanting to be explosive. He's not necessarily going to be that, but can he find a lane with this new revamped offensive line? I'm sure he can. And so I think he can have an instant impact as well. It's an exciting class. We'll see how it continues to develop. OTA football's back, basically. I mean, like now we're in the part of the offseason where we're hearing about throws. We're hearing about passes deflected. We're hearing about who's flying on the field. Jaylin Lane, his speed already noticeable. And now we're getting into interviews, and we're getting that much closer until the season kicks off. We're a couple months away from the first preseason game.
Brother, when we get to this time of year, I'm already, you know that feeling you get about 3 p.m. on a Sunday?
Yep.
I already got that feeling in the sense of like, I already know it's going to be March before I know it, and I'm going to be missing football again. Like it's starting, that ramp up's already starting to happen. And you're just like, you're too fleeting. Like it's just, I can't. Well, I say that now until we get into all 22 shit. And we're doing 2 a week. Fuck me.
Okay. Hey, can't wait for those all 22 reviews. Featured our very own KDot. Any final thoughts over here before we move to the rather large comment mailbag?
Now let's get this shit over with, because I don't know how the fuck this is going to go.
Well, here we go. We're going to the comment mailbag featuring an intro from our very own Nikki.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
All right. Thank you as always for that intro, Nikki. Beginning with, well, we got to begin with him. Rio Robinson, yes. Shout out. Once again, thank you so much for coming on. He goes, thanks for having me on the program. Gotta get y'all on my channel next time. 19 people give it a thumbs up, meaning that they would love to see that. And we really appreciate you guys for doing that as well. Get up your reaction.
Love, man. It was an absolute pleasure to have him on. Kind of an honor, I guess you could say, to have him on as well. I still keep the same energy about where I think we rank, but it was nice. And look, y'all see the views, you see the comments, you see everything. This is what, look, we know we asked you guys to share this shit, and you guys have been asking us to do the collabs. Shout out 100% to Amit. I don't know if you want A-Train energy or what, but you went out there and you got shit done, and I want to applaud you as well. But it feels as though if we continue to do things in these landscape, in this sort of run of escape, sky's the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. Sky's the limit. People really enjoyed themselves. We've got 80 new subscribers, a lot of thumbs up on the video, so we appreciate it. And Rio, that's a big part.
Hugely.
Thanks to you, because a lot of people love watching you. So thoroughly appreciate that. Can't wait to go on your channel and come back to ours anytime. And we will continue to collab with others as well as we continue to branch out in the Commanders podcasting space. We got a few shout outs for Rio. Ivy All Day goes, "Hey Rio," 3 exclamation points over there. Blood Clot, man, good episode. You guys collab really well with Rio. I got 5 thumbs up. D Smoke, who was looking forward to this 252 shout out. Wow, y'all did it. And like 3 of those party popper emojis. Great collab. Thank y'all. That's got 5 as well. My guy Rio, Kwame Browner, shout out over there. There's a lot of love, man. A lot of love for Rio.
We had a celebrity.
What? Yeah, we did. I mean, also, I was looking at the comments of the Commanders log. The one with the most likes on it is, "I can't believe I beat Rio." Yeah, you saw it. Okay, yeah. And it was like, well, we just had that guy on last week, right? So, like, very cool. Tony, shout out Tony OG. Let's go, DD. Love the episode. Love the collab. Thank you. And great episode from S. Shanis 79. Look, man, a lot of love. People really enjoyed it. KDot, your reaction to all of those?
It was dope. I was having a conversation with somebody a few days ago, and I was telling them, like, yeah, we do the pod. We were talking about the podcast, and I was like, yeah, we had Rio Robinson, like Ramblin' Rio on. He's like, oh, I don't know who that is, but it sounds like it's a really big deal in the sense. And we started pulling up the YouTube pages and everything, like, holy shit, like, that's a big deal. You guys got like a guy on. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. It's kind of cool. We got like a dude, especially with how niche our thing is. We were talking about niche in the grand term of anything that you could talk about on YouTube. We're talking about Commanders, right? So like, to know that we got basically a star in that space, and it's just nice to know that there is this sort of camaraderie that's happening, and everybody kind of realizes that we can all kind of elevate each other in the sense of like, yeah, just kind of being there for each other. Because I don't know about you, but last week or earlier this week, seeing the end of Around the Horn was a big moment for me in the sense of what sports media looked like for the longest time and the way that I appreciated it. And while I do still think that there needs to be more journalists doing what it is we're doing right now, because at least they're professionals when it comes to the show, I do love that we have this fan perspective and it kind of exists in this way. People know we're not the experts, but they like to hear what it is we have to say, and it just feels good to know that we have this sort of love and camaraderie in this space. Yeah,
and there's so many quality Commanders podcasts as well, and up and coming ones too. I classify us there as well, where you don't even necessarily need to have the pulse of the fan base, right? We're not going to pretend to do that. We have our own takes, and you guys can agree and disagree with them. And even we come up with ideas off of your comments oftentimes as well. We're like, oh, actually, that makes a lot of sense. It's a very collaborative space, not just with the fan creators, but also the fans themselves commenting. That's why we do the comment mailbag, is because we think it's super important to be able to read what everyone's thinking and react to it accordingly. So, yeah, it's super cool. And we're going to continue collabing with others. Now, on to some of the meat of the podcast. Ray S3B80, shout out, change the username. Jayden at 6 is a joke. Now, the reminder here is that we had the PFF quarterback rankings, and Jayden Daniels found himself at number 6. KDot, you said you were fine with that, and Rio said fine with that as well. He would have him at number 5. I was like, you could have him at 3 if you really want to. That's where I'm at. KDot, your reaction, Jayden at 6 is a joke.
I don't find it a joke. I mean, did our commenter elaborate any further than that?
No, there were 3 replies though.
We don't need to get into all that. I'm just saying that person expound on why it is that he thought the 6 was a joke.
No, there's no
you got to come up
on that.
Like, I'm just saying, if you're gonna come in the comments and you're gonna say something like that, can you please explain yourself?
That's fair. We also have Did Gruntle Dan Snyder fan with a couple shout out. Gallup, Michael Gallup, is legit. It was a fake retirement to get away from Dak's scapegoating ass, and I don't care what the propaganda says. Dak put him in the hospital with his lollipop passes and then had his minions blame Gallup for the team's woes. He did a Tom Brady and returned to play out with a QB who won't get him decapitated. There are 2 thumbs up there for that one. And here's one more. The only one I can accept at number 5 over JD is Matt Stafford. Tenured, old warhorse, Super Bowl winner, etc. He deserves it for one more year before we send him to the glue factory. And the kid just started anyway. I can wait. But Hurts above him is just a joke. He's the number 11. He's the 11th best quarterback in the NFL. And even then, I'm being nice. KDot, your reaction to the 2. Gallup is legit, faked his retirement to come play with a real quarterback. Also, Dak has minions that run PR. And Matt Stafford being at 5 over Jayden as the only acceptable quarterback.
I'm a Matt Stafford guy, and you guys
are.
know I've been high on the Rams like every fucking year, honestly. But if I'm looking at the last 2 years of Matt Stafford and the Rams, it hasn't felt as special as they have been. You could definitely see that he's kind of slowing down, and Puka Nacua is doing a lot. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp was doing a lot of fucking work for what it is that was going on in that team. I'm just saying. A lot of yak from what I remember. Maybe I'm wrong, but it was maybe.
No, Cooper Kupp is that dude.
Well, where is he now?
Seattle. Look at Sam Darnold.
Hey. Look at. And now what? Devontae Adams. It's going to be interesting, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm not. No, there is no way that I'm picking Matt Stafford. Like I understand Super Bowl winner, whatever, but I'm looking at that I'm looking at that list based on what it is that I read in the sense of they're looking at everybody's situations going into this year and then ranking. And if that's the case, if I'm looking under that purview, I understand the rankings and I don't have any issues with it.
Right. No, that's fair to say. I do think, I mean, these rankings are always going to be fluid. They're going to be a mix of objectivity. You got your Mahomes, 3 Super Bowls, and your subjectivity, right? Like, for example, let's see, Joe Burrow's still top 4. They didn't make the playoffs. So where do playoffs rank? But he had such unbelievable numbers. Like there's going to be nuance to the conversation with all of these. So I get the fluidity of it, and I'm showing my bias, obviously. I think we got that fucking guy. Vindo with a couple here. Shout out. It's RG me, not RG3. LOL. This is in reference to her after the pod. We were talking a bit about Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, RG3, and Ryan Clark. And here's another one. Insert Daffy Duck dancing at 1 hour, 31 and 23 seconds. If you know, you know. KDot, your reaction. I don't remember when exactly that was, but I think it was during the conversation around that.
Well, I know what he's talking about. And look, there are a few things that I try my best not to do unless you reach a certain line or a limit with me. To get the uncle label or to get the Daffy Duck gift, you gotta get the Whitlock status. Like if you're not, if you haven't gotten the Whitlock, I'm not like, I don't even do that for Emmanuel Acho as much as I think he's problematic and I don't like where it is he's come from for a lot of things. Even, I don't know if you saw his take on the Ryan Clark RG3 thing, and I'm like,
I did not.
The complete embodiment of, can't we all just get along?
Same thing he did with the cops that you were talking about. Yeah.
Shut up. Like, no one wants to hear from you right now, dog. Shut up. Where's Joy at? Yeah.
She's been on a run too. Jeez.
They all just look. Here's, you know what? This is what it comes down to.
It's complicated.
Around the horn, you're going to be missed. Because, look, as much as I do find a lot of this shit entertaining with the former athletes, I do. I find a lot of it to be entertaining, and I think a lot of guys are doing a really good job as far as the way they break down film of this game or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
It's more entertaining than insight, and I'm trust me, some of these motherfuckers are not entertaining to me, and the way that they try to placate to their audiences is not what it is that I'm into. I miss motherfuckers talking because they had knowledge about a thing, and they didn't try to do it strictly to get views. They did it because this is the thing you're supposed to talk about, journalism. My nickname in middle school was Wilbon. Now, this is prior to the Sean Taylor thing, in which I'm glad that nickname did not.
Yeah, that's
fine. Well, because I used to go. I've seen Part of the Interruption like live, and I have an appreciation for journalists doing the work they're supposed to do to know that you're an expert in this. You're an expert on this. Like, you've done what you need to do. You don't have to play the game to be an expert on that. I'm a firm believer in that. But the way that we're skewing to, there's going to be so much more about this. Like, Lord knows, Saquon's starting to go down some fucking road right now, and I'm kind of like,
he is.
Oh boy, like, it's just, I don't want to see any more of this shit. I really don't.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. There's another Rio comment from Biggie Steve 6973. Rio, that's the comment. I just happened to miss that one. Just wanted to make sure that I got that in there. And D Smoke also goes, my favorite two shows collabing together is amazing to me. Perfect show, perfect timing. I'm on vacation. 5 thumbs up on that one. So thoroughly appreciate those comments as well. KDot, your reaction.
Random question. It connects in my mind. It won't connect to anyone watching this.
Okay.
Is there someone tangibly famous, like legit famous, that you've had like a surprisingly long conversation or even like a back and forth over a sustained period of time or anything? I'm thinking Rio feels like a celebrity to me at this point.
Okay.
Like, just the way that we're getting the response. But I'm just curious if you have like a celebrity or something.
Well, I'm not. Okay. So I'm not politically plugged in. So let me start there. KDot knows this because we've had attempted political conversations. I'm like, who's that? And he's like, you gotta be fucking, like, come on, dude. So Michael Steele, I suppose, is a famous dude. I didn't know who he was at the time. I was just like, man, this guy is a smooth communicator. So he actually officiated a wedding I was at. And yeah, Mike
this
Tyson
all checks out.
Yeah.
It's all checks out. It's like Mike Steele, who votes for the same party that we know RG3 votes for.
Right.
And
No. I looked him up after because my mom was like, you talked to Michael Steele. Mom knows. And then I looked him up. I was like, oh. But anyway, he was there. Mike Tyson was there.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah, that one, it was a rumor. And then he actually was there, which is kind of cool.
Mike, hold on. The same wedding?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The fuck was happening there?
No, it was a super cool wedding. We're out till 5, 6 a.m.
there?
And Mike Tyson smoking cigars with some other people. Is pouring. It was cool, man. It was a fun wedding. But anyway, yeah, Michael Steele. We chatted for about 10 minutes there. It was cool.
As far as politician, I don't know if you remember who Rick Santorum is. If you don't know,
yeah, I do know Rick Santorum.
If you Google Santorum, they created some on the Urban Dictionary about his name. He offered me a job once.
Oh, really?
And I was a bookseller, and me and him like just built it. I knew who he was. I was like, everybody was dressed up in like suits and shit. I had a puffy vest and Timberland boots on, like jeans. And I was just selling books for him. And like me and him just, and I think he was like, hey, it's a black guy that can keep up a conversation. Hey, you might be one of the good ones. Like, that's
of course.
Oh, but I was just a name
ahead.
drop.
Right.
I was thinking about it. I was talking to somebody the other day. I've had an ongoing, not anymore, it's been years, but I've used to have an ongoing back and forth with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. For some reason, was like my guy. Me and him would just chat a lot. Like, it was the most random fucking online.
That's way cooler than anybody else's I know. You had a back and forth correspondence with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
And I had a football player threaten me.
Yeah, that one I knew about. That one I knew about. That one I knew about. Oh, I was gonna say something and I stopped. Good job, Amit. We got
these bets are kicking in. I'm getting weird.
Oh, I can tell. We got a few more comments to go through. Back to did Gruntle Dan Snyder fan. Dak has a choker rep and is injury prone. Number 18 to number 20 is where I have him too. I've permanently soured on the Andy Dalton template. Can't win with it. And Andy Dalton is exactly who Dak is. 3 thumbs up on that one. KDot, your reaction.
Look, the last few years, there's been some subpar quarterback play and a lot of guys getting jobs that might not get in other sort of situations. it goes into the, like, here's the thing. There are always going to be people that are more harsh than others. I'm putting you in that boat too. Cause
Yeah, that's fair.
When up until last year, and like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I'm not, once again, this is not my point now.
Correct. Correct.
Is Kirk Cousins enough to win your Super Bowl? Is Dak Prescott enough to win your Super Bowl? I still come from the thought process that yes, they are, depending on what it is the team is. And when you're in that sort of territory, I'm not just throwing you 18 or 20 or whatever. Like, you can't look at the Cowboys and see how their offenses have been sustained when healthy every year, regardless of talent or whatever. They've been there as long as Dak's been there at quarterback. And I give them credit for that. Do I think that he's a choker in the playoffs? Yes. But I think that if we're going to start doing that choking thing, we got to look at the dude that has all the accolades. And I love, and once again, I'm not criticizing, but there's a hard conversation about Lamar Jackson that needs to happen if you want to have that.
We were beginning to touch it last week, by the way.
So
and
just saying,
I love Lamar, but I was beginning to be like, we should have that conversation.
You got to, right? So it's like, if we're going to do that, and you got some dudes that are clutch, but on teams in which don't ask them to do more. Eli Manning's really high on that list all time for me. But Eli Manning, to me, because of the Super Bowls, I understand he's in my book a Hall of Famer. I understand a lot of other people don't necessarily believe that. And I know a lot of people, if you were to pick between Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers, would say, still give me Phillip Rivers or give me some other guys that have never won a Super Bowl necessarily. Clutch means a bit.
Yes.
But and production means a bit. How well can you play the position? And what can I get from you doing?
Eli Manning is unquestionably a Hall of Famer. And also, I don't blame a single person in the Hall of Fame giving him the side eye. Like, it just is what it is. He's got 2 Super Bowls, right? So, like, and it was against Brady both times, who currently is the GOAT, and also ended an undefeated season, right? So he is obviously in. Was there a bit of fluke involved? Yeah. Anybody else in the Hall of Fame going, man, you should not be in here? I'm cool with that. Like, I get it from their perspective. They've got this perfectly decorated resume, and that's the ugly duckling relative to the rest of it. He just happens to have 2, and that's the way it works. I mean, I think
it just goes both ways. Like, I can look at Eli Manning and say he's a Hall of Famer. I can also say that there has never been a point in Eli Manning's career where he was ever a top 10 to maybe top 15 quarterback.
And both things are true.
Both things are true, right? But there are definitely some guys that were top 3, top 2, and don't have any fucking hardware. So, everything kind of comes out in the wash. What we're talking about with that list, to me, is more of a power ranking than it is about how it is you feel about their careers. What do you think they can do from a production standpoint if they had a good team around them? Well, I think putting Dak Prescott at 18 to 20 is ridiculous.
Well, let's go ahead and go through the quarterbacks, and we'll see where he ultimately ranks for you. How about that?
Yeah.
Real quick. Okay. Rapid fire. Mahomes, you have, obviously. Burrow.
He's top 5.
Lamar.
Yeah.
Josh. This is all over Dak. Over or under Dak is the question. Okay.
Okay.
So those 4 are over. Jalen Hurts.
Over.
Okay. Jayden.
Over.
That should have been much quicker. Matt Stafford.
Over.
Herbert. You said you love Herbert last week.
I do love Herbert, but once again, I'm still looking at what it is I think I can get done with Dak.
Jared Goff.
Over.
Geno.
I like Geno a lot, but I think we're starting to push.
I would go under. Brock Purdy.
I want Brock more than I want Dak, but I don't know if I could rank him high.
Okay. And so I'll give you 3 names quickly. Love, Mayfield, Stroud.
Mayfield maybe slightly over after last season. Love, I'm not there yet. And Stroud, you got to show me that last year wasn't on you.
Okay. So you got Dak at around like anywhere from 10 to 11, something like that. 10, 11 is that range for you? Yeah.
Yeah. Like my whole point is, like, if you're to rank quarterbacks in the power ranking sort of standpoint, if I have a team and there's a fantasy draft and I need to go win a Super Bowl in one season, what's my ranking of quarterbacks to give me that Super Bowl in that one season? Not talking about 5 years, not talking about 10 years, not talking about any of that, because that changes things. If I need your quarterback to be on my team, not knowing even what the rest of the team looks like, and I can pick any quarterback in the league, where do they rank? Dak's around 10, I think 10, 12.
Okay. No, I think that's fair. That's a really good way to put that. If we were to have a draft effective immediately for next year and only next year.
Yeah.
How do these quarterbacks rank? I think it's good. We go over to David A. Boney 1257. Shout out. 3 stop signs. Commanders are trash. Barkley beats them on his own. Let's see if Daniels' last 5 seasons, let alone 2 lasts 5 seasons, let alone 2 without getting stretchered like RG3. Trust me, it's coming, big mouth. Okay. So we got our first like full-on hater over here in David A. Boney 1257. I'll go ahead and take the lead on this one. Jayden's built different. The way he operates mentally and the way that he handles an offseason, I can already tell is very different. And I think you're nervous. I think that's where this is coming from. And it's just classic Philadelphia Eagles low IQ talk. Go ahead, KDot.
Boney, your mother's a hoe.
That's also fair. We go over to Coach Steven 6. Shout out. Burrow 2, but had a great season, but as a team was Hurts had a decent year, won the Super Bowl. Hopefully Jayden can get to the Super Bowl. KDot, would it surprise you if, and this could be subject to change, okay, so you're not held to this. Would it surprise you if the Commanders made the Super Bowl this year?
Surprise? Yeah.
It would surprise you. Okay. Yeah. I don't think it would surprise me.
It better fucking surprise us.
It would be
I don't.
cool.
We're not there yet, motherfucker. You can't be that cool and chill on this fucking team. I won't accept that.
No, that's fair. That's why you're a medium guy, and you also are in charge of my leash. Where you're like, hey,
I won't accept that.
Come back. You
like
can't
to have the idea that we'd be playing a Super Bowl next season, you're just like, yeah, I kind of expected this. Fuck you.
No, I didn't say expected. Hang on. I did not say expected.
But to be surprised, like there are a level of surprises, level of shock, right? I was shocked that we were where we were last year.
Oh,
shocked.
Me too. And I said it was the ceiling, and I realized after the fact that I was like in like a broken voice because I was exhausted. I was like, I realized I was wrong in the way I approached that.
My problem with you guys and putting you and a bunch of the other fans.
No, it's fair. Hand up here.
You guys have to not. I don't think you're giving your shock for last season enough credit. It's not. It should not stay there. Like it extends. It extends. The team shouldn't be in that position. And if we are, you should remain shocked and feel very grateful that some of the craziest shit we've ever seen in football is happening.
It's pretty cool, huh? It is pretty cool. We got, you know what? Before we get to Coach Lombard, here's one that I found interesting. Patricio, which also, shout out, 6486. This got 8 replies and 8 thumbs up, okay? You put Jayden Daniels on the Eagles, and they go undefeated. You put Hurts on the Commanders, and they do not make the playoffs. Your reaction?
Don't know about that. And also, remember, I'm not big on that Philadelphia locker room. I don't know what Jayden looks like in that Philadelphia locker room. To me, it feels like a weird fit. But look, I get the sentiment. I 100% get the sentiment. But what I saw last year with Jayden Daniels, regardless of everything that he was doing, I'm not one to change any of the variables because I don't know what happens if you do. Like, it's one of those things that I always talk about, like, if somebody blindfolds you and puts a pot of gold on the other side of the highway and says, hey, if you make it, you got a pot of gold. You can make that walk.
I do love when you go this way.
But you can go get the pot of gold, and it's like, holy shit, I got a pot of gold. Was it the right choice? Was it a wise decision? Was it germane to you living a long and fruitful life? No, no, like it's not. So, but if it worked out, I ain't questioning anything. It fucking happened, and you don't need to rock anything. I wouldn't do it again. The
pot of gold thing I just realized describes A Train to a T. It's just he gets
all right. If it's A Train, I think he can do it. Like if you give him the right incentive, like you can a little bit of that courage, a little bit of that Bolivian courage. I think he can move faster than cars. I also think
courage.
put some bitches to slap in the lanes.
Okay.
He'll do it with some flair.
We're going to Coach. Shout out Coach Lombard. KDot tapped out, so I decided to redeem myself. Amit, I tweeted that I thought Washington would win the NFC East this season due to the historic 20-plus year pattern against repeat division winners, and that is still true.
Yep.
I was not aware of the team schedules at the time, and both Dallas and New York had nice drafts. I got curious about luck, so I created a formula for it. WPA per margin. Okay, I think it's what does that stand for again? WPA points added, something points added, win probability added. I don't know. The week 2 Giants game, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and New Orleans are examples of good or bad luck. The rest was QB play, clutch QB play. But can Jayden be that clutch or more clutch in year 2? Someone mentioned Washington needing to win 13 games to win the division in order for that to happen. I believe that is both correct and unlikely. Washington would need to win all their coin flip games next season. Green Bay, Atlanta, LA, Chicago, Detroit, at the Giants, and versus Philly. And I just don't see that happening, even giving Washington +3 wins for luck, quote unquote. KDot, your reaction.
All right, Coach, I'll tap back in for a second. Not long. All right. What I consider to be luck compared to what it is that I think you consider to be luck is a little different. And what you consider a coin flip game, right? So like coin flip game being like, all right, so you look at like the Vikings a couple years ago, where you look at like the amount of games that they lost by 1 point or won by 1 point or whatever, or no, by one score. And it was like, oh, well, that's not going to maintain this thing. What I saw with Washington last year was not luck as much as it was a way that we were playing the game that provided an opportunity for us to have the ball at the last moment and see what happens. So like it felt as though we were that was sort of that was the game plan kind of going in. We knew we weren't going to beat the shit out of a lot of teams because from a talent standpoint, and the fact that we couldn't run in the way that we wanted to sustain clock in that way until like the last part of the game, or on some of those long sustained drives where like Jayden would take off for a touchdown here or for a first down here and there. I think the way that we won those coin flip games to me are more indicative of a clutch gene and more indicative of just sort of the style in which we were playing. So I don't think that it pivots one way or the other. I think that maybe the style of play gets it so that we're not in as many situations like that, but I don't know if it has any impact on the outcomes of those games. If that makes any sense. The only thing I look at it from a luck standpoint when it comes in and year out is sometimes turnovers can be weird some years. And to me, the single biggest thing to me that determines a luck standpoint for a football team is your injury luck. And to me, it's you never see any team sustain it forever. You can't. It's an impossibility, just the way the football is played. And the only thing that I would say is that if I'm looking at our particular team and saying that, look, Jayden was banged up for a little bit, we had some guys that were banged up, but overall, if you're looking at the team and health, we were a particularly healthy team compared to a lot of other teams we've seen going back years in Washington, right? Like, thank God for whoever the training staff or anything is. But I look at that exact same thing, and I look at like, all right, Dallas had a bad luck injury season last year. That probably goes back in their favor, and they don't have it back-to-back years. For Washington, the idea that we have back-to-back great years from an injury luck standpoint, I don't know. For the Eagles is another team that I'm also putting in that category, which is like, all right, what does that look like if you have certain key figures are not there? Do I think you guys could still win games without Saquon Barkley? Yeah. Do I think you guys could still win games with Saquon and A.J. Brown are out? No. So, like, what does it look like? Like, that's where I look at as far as luck from a football standpoint. I can't think of anything else that really does that because, to me, injuries are the random thing.
You know what came up for me actually as you were talking, Coach, I'm actually going to tap out of this one. I apologize because I think KDot nailed it with the injury luck and stuff like that. Was that Jayden has already played more good games for us than RG3?
Oh, easily.
Which is great. Well, because he played like what 20 games for us last season, basically, right? 12-5, and then exclude the Carolina game, and then and they were all like,
come on,
that's crazy.
I think we can. Jayden's played more meaningful, great games for us than RG3, Alex Smith, Taylor Heineke.
That's crazy.
Jason Campbell.
Wow.
Todd Collins.
Shout out Todd.
Todd Collins had a great year, right?
We needed Todd that year. We needed Todd like
a motherfucker. But none of them are holding the flame to this. This is not. It's unprecedented. Like, look. All I want to say is that, like, look, if the Eagles fans like the one earlier that is basically just wishing bad things to happen to us, I get it. Fuck you. I get it. But the people that are expecting bad things to happen from Jayden, I'm just like, there's nothing to compare this to. I don't know where you're getting that information from. Like, you can't do that. Like, that's not grounded in anything other than hate. Like, it's just not grounded in anything.
Fear. I'm telling you.
Be that. Yeah, probably
fear.
right. Yeah,
it's fear. Because they saw it. I mean, they saw it firsthand. Jayden's only thrown 5 touchdowns in one game. Guess who it was against? I mean, they saw it. So trust me, they know. Mr. Payne with a few here. Pass rush. Fowler had 10.5 sacks. Systems make players. I believe in my team. No debate. F off Commander haters. 1. 2. Bill will be the steal of the draft. Remember, I said it. Mr. Payne, well aware of Jacory Croskey-Merritt's name. 3. Okay, let's get Logan, Craig, John, Fred, Santana in the mix. Share this shit. Potential collabs with them would be super cool. And 4. I'm going to love my Commanders. Dominate this so-called hard season. KDot, your reaction to the 4 comments from Mr. Payne.
Too many mics.
Oh yeah, if we were to do that all at once. Oh my lord, this screen would be
hell.
I think we'd be off screen, and they would be on the screen.
I think there's a limit here. I don't know what it is.
We haven't hit it close. Logan, Craig, John, Fred, and Santana. Imagine though, we get 1 or 2. Ooh, that'd be cool.
Look, I mean, I think Craig's doable. I think Logan. Like, once again, I kind of work tangibly with all of these guys. Of just I'm a pussy.
I do. Craig does follow I don't know if he still does. My actual like personal account. I'm saying on X, so I can definitely message him and be like, "Yo, want to do it?"
Communicating through the bars.
So maybe, yeah, you should do that. We got. Let's see. Let's go to Adi Smith. Shout out. Get that coach out of the building because he knows shit. How long has Howie been at Philly? For more than 10 years, he's been building and putting the Eagles together. AP got here yesterday, and all of a sudden, you want to be at Philly's level? Delusional, coach. The NFL is a parity game. You can't jump the gun. You could be extremely lucky with some players who will pop out of the blue and produce. We can't always trade picks away and at the same time expect to build through the draft, and we can't draft just for drafting's sakes, even if the pick doesn't fit your philosophy. So, coach, relax, and if you can't, go hide for the next 3 years while the Commanders win at least 1 Super Bowl during that time. Heart emoji, peace emoji. Tell you what, that was very well said. KDot, your reaction.
No real notes, man. Like, coach, I tapped out, tapped back in. I will say, when it's not football season, it's a lot harder to deal with you. But it's at least when, and the thing is, like, look, coach, we're just got to let you know, it's going to be a long fucking road. We don't play each other until week 6. God, that's so stupid. So fucking 16. Stupid. I'm gonna be so upset. I'm just hoping there is nothing more than I wish that all you Eagles fans are crying your fucking eyes out after week 6 or so because you just know this season isn't yours. And I want that long, sustained, just a bad year. So when week 16 comes around and we stomp the everlasting shit out of you fuckers, I'll get more apathy. I don't will anything else. That'll make me happy. When you guys, I can't even get a rise out of you because you already knew this just wasn't our year. That's what I'm hoping for.
I want the Eagles to have a fantastic regular season and think that they're going to break this repeat division winner thing.
No.
And then we sweep them. And it's like a convincing sweep.
The Cowboys fans are the ones that I like to see happy. The Eagles fans are never,
because we know the ending for them.
But it's never, look, this is my point. The Eagles fans are miserable fucks regardless of the outcome.
That's a good point.
Don't give them joy. They don't deserve joy. Just give them, you're going to get the same level of output.
No, that's true. That's a good point.
Apathy at some point. Did they just get beaten down to the morose, it's just, you'll be back next year. Because that's what I want to see. I want to see you motherfuckers just be quiet.
At Dime 1012 goes, as Mina Kimes' fine self said, wins are not a quarterback stat. When you actually, watch them play. Jayden is clearly the ceiling raiser and game changer. Winning is a team effort. The greatest QB of all time isn't winning that championship game with 3 lost fumbles. 3 thumbs up on that one. KDot, your reaction.
It would take a lot. So, yeah, I mean, we all know that's the thing with Jayden. I was actually thinking, since we were talking about that luck comment, The only win that I can absolutely kind of put in that luck category is the Hail Mary. And even with that, there was some preparation in the fact that I forgot dude's name already. What's that fucker that was talking to the fans instead of doing his job?
Oh, Tyreek Stevenson.
Tyreek Stevenson. If it wasn't so, like, I would look at that and be like, all right, there's luck to some degree, but also when it comes to playing the game, if Stevenson doesn't do what he does in that moment, it doesn't happen.
Dog,
so,
Tyreek Stevenson so perfectly timed that jump to tip it to Noah Brown. Like, literally, if we had one of our guys do it, I don't think they could have done it better than Tyreek. Like, that was so perfect.
So that's the only one that I kind of saw on from a luck standpoint. But even if I look at that, I'm like, well, your guys weren't prepared. So I don't know if I could throw it in the luck category. It's the closest thing I could put in the luck category. Everything else was your ceiling raiser, your Superman, putting them in a situation to be, and they were able to take advantage.
What if Tyreek Stevenson changed Super Hail Mary strategies forever? Like, we're going to throw it to the left side. You go on the right and you gun it and you just jump as high as you can, a la Tyreek Stevenson, and you tip it. Like, it's now intentional.
Oh, no, everything he did was by the book of what you should be doing if you're playing offense. So that should already be.
We got an extra guy.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like literally he did the job that our guy was supposed to do. He just did it better. So, like, he's that on. The technique is great. You just did it for the wrong team, buddy.
I love it. Mark Stevenson, 8209, goes, JD should at least be tied with Jalen Hurts. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Jayden Daniels. Hurts just has the good fortune of being on a team just loaded with great talent. I think the Super Bowl proved that. They smoked the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, Jalen Hurts himself obviously played a great game, but the defense, how about a rookie in Cooper DeJean getting a pick six, for example? Mm-hmm. Mahomes getting hit so many times to the point where he has, 40 yards or something like that by halftime, and Sirianni's getting a Gatorade bath with basically 10 minutes left in the game. That was a supremely talented team, KDot.
Yeah, 10 minutes in the game. That's when I put an additional $50 on the Chiefs money line because fuck the Eagles on principle.
You're just getting a great price.
Didn't give a shit. I remember looking at everybody in the room. I'm lighting my money on fire, guys. Fuck these assholes. Like, it didn't care. Look, man. He won the Super Bowl, and he was a major part in it. You can hate him. I don't particularly like him. I don't like anybody wearing that fucking stupid Kelly green. Fuck all of them.
Well, here's the next comment from T-Sand4. Y'all talking like Jayden Daniels averaged 250 plus yards passing per game. LOL, he averaged 209 yards passing per game. Jesus Lord. 12 to 15 quarterbacks could not win with the Eagles. They would all choke. They could get to the playoffs, but Eagles would not win shit in the playoffs without Jaylin. Get out your reaction.
So what? Is that the stat line? Is that the benchmark? If you threw a certain amount of yards per game, then that means you were worth a damn compared to other guys that weren't worth a damn. Cool. Do you know who led the league in yards per game last year?
Actually, don't. No, not Baker, is it? He would throw it.
It's an anomaly stat. It shouldn't count.
Go ahead.
It's Jimmy Garoppolo.
Last season, you said?
He threw for 334 yards and one touchdown in one game.
Okay. I was going to say, I didn't realize we just threw out qualifying stats. Go ahead.
But Kirk Cousins is in your top 10. Sam Darnold had a great year. No getting around it. Right. Geno Smith goes a little even higher than that. Joe Milton's 13th. I'm just saying, like, is that like what are you trying to prove? Like, is because how about we look at his percentage of offense compared to the rest of the team on offense? You want to do that as far as kind of determining how much he did for us? How about game-winning drives? Could that be a determining factor on how well you might have necessarily did for a team? Like, everybody wants to pick all these like crazy bullshit things to get their guy in position. Literally, I'm here just telling you, keep it medium. Like, there's under no circumstances do I like Jalen Hurts over Jayden Daniels. There's no way in which that's the case. I could still give Jalen Hurts fucking props for winning a Super Bowl. Like, why can't both things be true? Like, why do we have to do this?
Well, so Rio was the one that said 12 to 15 quarterbacks could win with the Eagles, right? So you don't have to defend yourself for that, just to be clear.
12. All right. So, okay, there we go. All right. Do I think Jayden Daniels could have won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Of course.
Yes. Do I think Dak Prescott could have won a game with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Do you think so?
Yes. Do you? All right. Here's the question for you. Do you think Kirk Cousins could have won a Super Bowl?
No, and I know that. No, he couldn't. That's the clutch thing. I think you could even have a case Lamar couldn't. He made some weird plays at Buffalo. He made some really weird plays.
But here's the other thing about clutch. The other thing about clutch is that some quarterbacks don't need to be in a situation where they.
You're right.
If everything else is kind of working out the way it needs to be, right? Remember, the quarterback that me and you disagree about outside of Kirk Cousins more than any other quarterback, at least historically on this podcast, that I disagree with more than any other quarterback, has been historically Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Got me in trouble at times. But my Aaron Rodgers take has been, I do think clutch means a significant portion of what it means to be a good quarterback and not. And that is one thing in which I don't think Aaron Rodgers has necessarily been that guy. The counter to everyone's argument for me where Aaron Rodgers is, motherfucker, he didn't have to.
Right.
He had a 2-touchdown lead. Like, what's the point? So I'm just saying, it's like, if you know football and you're watching it when you're watching it, you sort of get a feel for it. But all this shit's subjective. And there's so many variables for you to know what case in point would be with what. If Tom Brady's playing for the Indianapolis Colts and not the New England Patriots, does he even get a start? Probably not. And if he doesn't get to start, nothing happens. And do I think that does he win Super Bowls in Indianapolis that he would have won in New England? Fuck no. Wouldn't have happened. But do I think if Peyton Manning goes to New England, does he win a bunch of Super Bowls? Maybe, but I don't know. Was Peyton as clutch as Tom? No.
Right.
What does that mean?
It's all subjective.
Right.
Is the main point. Speaking of subjective, Ray S3B80, again, shout out. What? Dude, Lamar and Allen are the two best quarterbacks. Daniels definitely was better than both Burrow and Mahomes last season. Once again, it's going to be fluid, right? It is going to be fluid because even when I was making my case for Jayden all the way up at 3, it was, okay, I have Mahomes and Allen ahead, but Burrow and Lamar, you can have a conversation about if you want to put Jayden all the way there. So everyone's got their own opinion. KDot, your reaction.
Who's your favorite rapper of all time? Or no, fuck that. Who do you think the greatest rapper of all time is?
Greatest rapper of all time? Ooh, I don't know.
My answer is usually Jay-Z. And the reason I usually say Jay-Z is not because I don't think Jay-Z is the best lyricist of all time. I don't think he's the best wordplay man of all time. He doesn't have the best longevity. Definitely doesn't have the biggest impact on the culture. But if that's your criteria, any one of those things, guess what? Jay-Z is going to be somewhere on that list. He's going to be somewhere near the top. So you kind of take that average, right? And then you kind of determine what it is. That's the sort of the way I feel about quarterback. I keep going back to if I need to win in one season and I don't know what the rest of my team looks like, who's going to give me the best shot to do it? Lamar Jackson is always going to be high, regardless of a fucking clutch gene. Because my hope is that I can do everything I possibly can do to insulate Lamar from potentially having to do that thing, right? That should be what the team does. You shouldn't just be on you to get it done. And some quarterbacks, if we put it on your back and you fucking do it, yes, son, you deserve fucking credit for it, but it doesn't is the end all be all. That's your Eli Manning. Eli Manning never had the stats, but I tell you right now, if you need to fucking play and you didn't know what it's going to look like,
just throw it up, chuck it. Yeah, he'll do it.
He made it happen.
He made it happen, man. He made it happen. The throw to Mario Manningham. Oh my Lord. Perfect throw. Triglow 69 goes, they're cutting KJ for Brooks. It's KJ Osborne for Jacory Brooks because I did have KJ Osborne as the dark horse. He had 0 catches for the Commanders last season. So why not? Why not? They used a waiver claim on him. They brought him back. Let's see. Entirely possible. Triglow 69, just a heads up. Entirely possible that KJ Osborne gets cut for Jacory Brooks, undrafted free agent out of Louisville. Go ahead, KDot.
I've been letting you do your KJ Osborne thing. I just haven't had any comments. I don't see it.
I don't see it either, just to be clear. I'm just like, why not? They like him.
Especially like, I do think there is, like, I'm not going full tilt like the other commenter did as far as the Michael Gallup stuff, but I will say if I had to pick one of those two guys, I know who I'm picking.
Who are you picking?
Gallup.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, I probably would too.
And he got Jaylin Lane over both of them. So,
But now I'm invested in KJ Osborne doing something. Invested in it. We got a couple here. Hold on. This is okay. Jerome Givens, shout out. I don't like the music. This is a go-go city. But then, in direct contrast, we got Caesar Naked going, great intro music. Everything's subjective, KDot. The world's subjective. Your reaction.
There are on the cutting room floor about 20 different intros using go-go music for this podcast.
That is actually true. In fact, KDot showed me a few of them.
There's a lot. Trust me. There was at one point I had to kind of rein me back in, because if it was up to me, there would have been a new intro every episode.
It's like
show.
we need consistency.
We need consistency.
KDot's like, I don't know. It could be fun.
I got a K-pop that I had to write. I got 90s girl band, boy band stuff, whatever you think of. But trust me, our head was a lot in the go-go space, but we wanted more lyrics. We wanted something more intertwined with the lyrics of what it is we're actually about, and it was kind of hard to make that register.
I just know you're going to surprise me next week with a new intro. I'm going to be like, and we're...
Nope. Look, remember, there are curtains, and I'm not allowed to open them for certain things.
No, that's true. That is... you know what? Well played. That is true. Gwen OG goes, the guy with the long hair has some work to do. That you or me?
It's totally you.
Oh, come on.
Hey, look, man.
Haircut,
I listened back to the Rio episode, and I will say that I was kind of disappointed in myself during certain aspects of the Rio episode, but then I was looking at my face. I was struggling until we started talking about RG3, and for some reason,
no, you lit up. You lit up. I was like, oh, we're doing it after the pod.
There was something in my heart that needed to come out. All right, like I wish Rio was on the season episode, not last week. Last week's episode, as far as the topics, just weren't as fun as like doing the going through the record, which another episode I was sick for, or even today's episode. Like but look, I'll accept that. Usually I would tell you to go fuck yourself, but honestly, I did listen back to me, and I did think that was not.
Oh, you think that's what that's in reference to?
What?
Oh,
I think you had work to do.
Oh, come on. No.
What?
No, you did not have work to do. That's insane.
What does that mean then?
The guy with the long hair has some work to do? Not what you think it means, which is like, oh, you need to be better at what you do.
What is your interpretation is what I'm asking.
I thought it was in reference to the I was in reference to the fucking hair.
No. What?
I was like, hey, grow it longer.
You gotta grow your hair more, son.
Grow it
like
more?
what it was?
Yeah, grow it more.
No, if you're listening to the podcast episode, I do believe, and look, you know I'm hard on myself, but I will say I was not feeling 100%, and I do think of the three, I did have the least amount of energy up until the RG3 thing, and I think it came to light. I think if Rio was on for the RG3 thing, that would have been a 10 out of 10 episode.
Oh man, hey, holy cow! Yeah, I would have just been like, guys, I gotta go. Can't wait to watch this stuff, huh?
You killed it. You absolutely killed it.
Appreciate it. But people that watch the pod know we got a couple stars over here. And KDot's absolutely the brightest of them. And we go over to Cherish, the Duchess of 202. Hail, definitely Super Bowl biased. Appreciate the comment over there. We got a few more to go through, so we're going to continue to do so. Vindo OG, 11-6, best win against the Broncos. Jayden Daniels, 3,500 passing yards, 750 rushing yards, 71% completion percentage, 35 passing touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns, QBR 72.6. That would be an unbelievable year, KDot. Your reaction.
I cannot begin to fathom what it is that I think the stats will look like for Jayden at the end of the season. I have no idea. I can't wrap my head around it. I don't know what it's going to look like. I really don't know.
Even though we kept Cliff, we kept Pritchard, we kept David Blau, like all of them, I still don't really know what the offense is going to look like. I know it's kind of strange to say, but I think that we have a coaching staff that evolves based on what we did last season, what we want to be this season. I think we've got a malleable crew here. I'm very interested to see what it looks like. I don't think it looks exactly the same.
I think it looks very similar, but
I'm not sure.
I think it looks very similar. There are some key pieces that allow you to do things you weren't able to do. The only thing, once again, that I still have a legitimate question mark is what does the design run game look like?
But I think okay, so I think you and I are on the same page there because I think the run game, a lot of emphasis on this offseason is making sure it looks effective. Because last season it wasn't really.
I don't agree with you there.
Right, and we do have that disagreement.
Yeah,
so you said so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they are showing some physicality, but I also think a lot of our game was the short game, the short passing game. And I think that what ended up happening a lot of times in this particular situation last season was we just didn't have a lot of guys that could do anything from a dynamic standpoint when they got the ball quickly, right? So like Zacchaeus had some moments of flash. We saw Diami Brown had his moments near the end, right? To me, it's like if we can get these guys with the ball in space, what happens there? It felt like a lot when Eckler went down for that period of time, the screen game just died.
Yeah.
So like to me, it's like you're gonna have your Jaylin Lane kind of start doing stuff like that. You're gonna start seeing more Deebo Samuel in some of the short game. The reason I got excited about Deebo looking bigger is that to me it says what I've been talking about as far as pitch count is I want Deebo's physicality is what I want,
yes.
right? And in that short game, in that hey, give him the ball. It doesn't need to be perfect as far as space goes for to get 7 yards out there, right? Like that's what I want to see. So I do think that Cliff's offense, I think the offense looks pretty similar to what it is right now, or what it was last year. I just think what they're looking at is, do we have more than one legit deep threat that we can go to consistently and can get open on his own? That was a question mark last year. And do we have guys that can actually, we had guys that could catch the ball, but like even Rio said, couldn't get yak for shit. So like that's
not.
So that's my thing is like I still see this offense just taking a step forward within the same confines of what it was, just with players that can execute at a higher level than they were.
What do you call them? The fall down bandits? Something along those
lines?
Yeah,
something like that. It was,
I mean, it was great. that was a good
And that's kind of what it was. It's like I just want to see guys that can move the ball beyond that. Like we had completions. We had guys that could catch the ball at certain points. What they couldn't do was do anything with it to make plays out of nowhere. And as you and Rio did a great job talking about was the lack of touchdowns that crossed the fucking goal line.
It's an insane stat. It is an insane stat.
So I'm just saying, like, I see this in the same thing with the defense. I don't see the defense doing something tremendously different. It's just they couldn't stop the fucking run. So, like, what do? Let's address that. We're not rewriting the wheel. We just, once again, I already think implementation. The install was last year.
Yes. Well, I'm only pointing because Big E 5188 goes, I don't give a rat's ass about the rush. Look how many first downs Saquon had on us. Stop the run first, then get the pass rush right. Let's fucking go, boys. It was just in my head. I was like, I know we have a comment around that. So I just wanted to touch on that because that's exactly what you're talking about.
That's it. It's the same thing I kind of responded with Coach when I asked Coach. I don't know if maybe Coach said, and I just blanked it out about because there were a lot of fucking comments so far about how much do you miss Dante Fowler in the sense of like, I still think that I still think the sack numbers, pass rush numbers are going to be there. My point is that it would have been better if they had a secondary that could cover better, right? The coverage sacks were lacking.
Coach Lombard. You had asked about how much Washington might miss Dante Fowler Jr. I put him, and you're on fire, brother. I put him and Frankie Louvu in the same tier. Neither guy is franchise, but both guys are difference makers that you have to game plan around. Yes, coverage sacks happen, and I understand fixing a bottom 3 run defense being the priority. I'm just surprised AP hasn't really invested in edge this offseason. Buck/Leo and Elephant End are cute, but DQ had much better personnel in Seattle. Personnel still matters, and I grade players and teams as opposed to schemes. No one here has ever said personnel does not matter. I just want to be very, very clear.
Let me ask you a question. Name the premier pass rusher that Seattle had during the Legion of Boom.
Bruce Irvin. No, I actually don't remember. And Michael Bennett. Wasn't it Michael Bennett?
Bennett.
Yes.
Irvin was
he was like the up and coming guy that never quite. Yeah. It was Michael Bennett.
Guy, better run blocking than he was, or run defense than he was, and some other stuff. He was a bigger dude. And then the Bennett was the dude that was like special. Yes. And yet Bennett's nowhere near anybody's Hall of Fame. He ain't wearing nobody's fucking Ring of Honor. Right. Quality guy. That's your Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler tier. That's who you got right there. Yeah. And in all honesty, like, you want a homegrown, your pass rush specialist to keep them in-house and to keep that salary low or whatever you got to do. You look around the league as far as what it was that they were going to be able to do from a pass rush standpoint. Zadarius Smith is still out there. I think Von Miller's still out there from what I understand.
As far as I see,
those guys are still there. So you can still make those phone calls, but I can look and say, if they saw Myles Garrett and if they saw Trey Henderson, they said, too expensive for what it is that we're doing, I get it. So if they stop the run and play better in coverage, I'm sorry, Coach. I know you want this to be true, but the defense will be light years ahead of what it was.
We have thrown, yes. Right now it is quantity over quality in terms of like the personnel that you're thinking about, Coach. We talked about this a while back with, you see it from the lens of the Philadelphia Eagles roster, and you're used to stars everywhere. Right. And unfortunately, you're the only team that really is that way. The rest of our teams, especially us right now, we trust our front office to be able to turn it into something similar over time. But right now, this is how you solve it. You throw bodies, you find what works, what doesn't. And then if Trey Amos is as good as people say he's going to be, let's say it takes him half a season and he can get there, and Marshon is better because he's healthier, you're going to get coverage sacks. You are. These aren't incompetent NFL players. I think sometimes it comes across as you don't have personnel, therefore it's non-existent. I don't think it's going to be non-existent. I think we're going to get into second, third, and obvious, and you're going to have to reevaluate, Coach. I think you're going to be surprised. I think we're going to be able to get around these guys. So we'll see.
Like, man, you know what pissed me off, and the reason I tapped out last week, because once again, it's all blending. I thought that we had the Dante Fowler conversation 2 weeks ago, so I thought Coach had already said something about it. But I'm just lost. I don't remember. Here's what I'd say as far as from the comparison game goes. What I want people to do is look back at Howie Roseman when he first got started. That's what I want your comparison to be. And tell me, what did the Philadelphia Eagles' draft process look like from that standpoint back when he got control? Because I know when he first got there, he wasn't in charge of personnel decisions. But once he finally got it, what did that look like? It's a lot of unsexy shit. And that's what we're in. We're in that boat right now. And trust me, when Howie got the job in Philadelphia, it was not a fucking rebuild, guys.
No, not at all. Kato, we've only got a few more here. All right. We go to Jamal Bibi Sharbon. We shout out. I think our team will surprise the league once more. Our offense should be deadly this season. We just need the defense to be a little better than average. Right. We're going to have an episode on the defense as well, by the way. I know we did the offense. We did offense focus because the PFF came out with their quarterback rankings. So we're like, let's just do an offense episode with Rio. We will do one on the defense, and we'll be able to get more into this stuff when we talk about it. KDot, your reaction?
Yeah, I kind of agree. Keep it medium. This is kind of like, yeah.
L Boogie 1978 goes 3 crying laughing emojis. Jayden isn't even the 6th best. Way overrated is the comment over there. I will agree to disagree, but it is only 1 year. KDot, your reaction?
Do you remember who Marcus Smith is?
No, I was thinking about Marcus Williams, who was the guy who helped with the Minneapolis Miracle. Who's Marcus Smith? I've forgotten.
A linebacker that Harry drafted in the first round. He lasted 5 years. Actually ended with us.
Oh, shout out.
I
had no idea.
Yeah, you remember Jordan Matthews?
Yes, Jordan Matthews, I do remember.
I'm looking at these draft picks, and I'm just saying, we're looking at early on the Howie. Aguilar's good. Eric Rowe. Jordan Hicks. Yeah,
Jordan
just
Hicks
saying.
Yeah, but it's hit or miss. Just like
hit or
everybody else.
Miss, and they already had trenches.
About that tank life, 9524 shout out. When dude started talking about passive aggressive, he earned himself a sub. That's the comment over there. KDot, your reaction?
It is the white man's voodoo. I had a conversation today about this in the sense of I was talking to someone about accents in America and which is your least favorite compared to most of it. My least favorite accent in America is probably anything around the city of Baltimore. If it's black people speaking in the vernacular and the saying O's the way they are, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. And then if it's the white Dundalk folk, that just everything that they say just feels like Old Bay and Natty Bo is getting spit on your face. You know they like to say the N-word. You can just sense it in the way they say things. And then if I'm going to go third, it's pleasant to hear. But what it means, the antebellum Charleston, South Carolina, white but from the plantation, speak with all the pleasantries in the world. Oh, how you doing, darling? How you doing? God bless your heart. When you hear bless your heart in the South, you know what they're saying?
Oh,
you
poor soul.
I'm gonna pray for you.
Yeah.
Only God can figure out.
Yeah, no, bless your heart is not what you want to hear if you were.
The white man's voodoo.
Mr. Payne goes, good stuff, gentlemen. Collaborate and get bigger. Love seeing you young brothers elevating. 2 thumbs up on that one. Appreciate you, Mr. Payne, for that comment. Get out your reaction.
I need to figure out how to yell into the microphones more. I need to figure out levels. If anybody can help me figure out levels so I can just yell all the time.
I think it regulates the sound of your voice. Yeah, I think so.
I feel like every once in a while I'm listening to playback and I'm like, oh, you did
no, sometimes you're so loud the mic just sort of mutes you.
That's what I'm saying. It's I want to pick up everything, but I also understand that, like, I understand that when Kadeen's on a rant, you might need to turn your volume down a little bit, but I like that.
Oh, so, I mean, speaking of, just for what it's worth, when we drafted Jayden, mine muted me. Like, I literally screamed so loud that it actually muted me because I downloaded I was like, I wonder what it looked like because you could download the individual one.
Yeah.
And so I did download the individual one. And it's like, oh, let's go. And it literally just cuts off because I've screamed too loudly. Like, It happens. It happens. And here is Big Papa Grizzly rounding out the comment mailbag. The new draft night Commanders log was awesome. Just seeing how excited everyone was for each one of our picks was amazing. It really speaks to how tight-knit of a family we have in the building. I'm really excited to see what Medrano is going to look like after reuniting with Coach Norton. Also, hearing Coach Lynn say that his wife told him that they needed to draft Jacory Croskey-Merritt was awesome. Even the families are on the same page. KDot, your reaction.
Yeah, that was what we talk about. Like, it is infectious. It's all of us. It's everybody's families are now getting involved. And unlike Joe Schoen, people listen to their families. It usually works out. It's the thing that I keep thinking about is that, like, when you think about the Dan Snyder era and you compare it to what's happening right now, you're like, adults are in the room. You really got to understand that around the league, most teams ain't run like this. You might think that there are adults and professionals in a room, but there isn't. I would say there is one thing that I would say above all other things that you start realizing the more rooms you enter and the more people you're around as far as power and stuff. I'm sure you could talk about that room that you were in with Michael Steele and JD Vance and all your friends.
No, it was Mike Tyson was the other name.
Right. JD Vance.
Vance was not. No.
Eric Trump and all of them. Every room you get into, you start realizing, I think Obama said this once about Harvard, is like, there are dumb people at Harvard too. You start realizing that you think there are adults, these people that really understand what it is they're doing. And you just realize nobody really knows. Like, there are some people that are professionals. Most of them are just trying to get through. This team is built in a way in which it's actually a true organization. There's a reason they call the analytics department R&D, because it means something cool as far as what it is they're building, right? It's not just we're flying by the seat of our pants. Look, and it works out for some of us. You look at the Joe Gibbs era, Bobby Beth and everything. They were not doing it this way. It was much more feel of the game than it was looking at anything from a data standpoint. It's nice to see professionals.
It's nice to see professionals, and I think you hit the nail on the head, because I think a lot of people will hide behind, well, they're the pros, so they know, they'll forget more football than you'll ever know, for example.
Yep.
It's like, no, the guy might just be a fucking clown. Like, it is entirely possible, and that's why, like, podcasts like this are great, because, listen, when we had Rivera, I fired Rivera a year before it happened. I remember we did an after the pod, and I was like, hey, I was like, oh, yeah, he's done. Like, we literally just did that. I was like, I think he's lost it. And I think and he will forget more football than I'll ever know, but I could tell the guy was done. Right. And like we did that with the prior regime. You may not hear it a lot right now because the current track record is I trust the professionals right now. But if they start fucking up, best believe that we are going to start calling them out. Right. That is a really good point, KDot. And you will always get honesty from us. Right now, things are just going very smoothly. So this is what honesty looks like. We're happy. That's what it is. Go ahead.
Healthy happiness.
Any final thoughts here?
On the comments or just in general?
Up to you.
In general, since we're not doing after pod, we're going to get out of here. I just want to say, rest in peace, Jim Irsay. If you really want to go with who it's not who started the domino effect, but who made sure a few dominoes fell and Dan Snyder goes away. That's our guy. He had his demons. He had all sorts of stuff. Trust me, I have a lot of questions whether or not he was a good owner or anything from a X's and O's standpoint. But I can say everybody that you've heard talk about him in a personal standpoint, everybody you've heard from what he did from a philanthropic standpoint,
yes,
Jim Irsay was that fucking dude. And Pat McAfee might be kind of becoming licorice for me, but even though when you hear,
he had a very nice tribute. Yeah,
it's very, very nice to hear, and I'll forever be grateful for what impact he had in not being a bitch like the rest of these owners and actually saying what he felt about the ownership that we had in Washington. And I can say that nothing happens in the timeline it happens in if it wasn't for Irsay stepping up. So I appreciate him thoroughly. I will forever be grateful for that. And he seemed like he was a good dude and somebody that honestly I would have loved to hang out with.
Yeah, I was going to say his authenticity really would shine whenever he was in front of a microphone or you just saw him out. He was truly enjoying life. And hearing the stories of the philanthropy was awesome to hear. You're like, man, under one condition, you don't say that Mr. Irsay did this. He seemed like a genuinely good dude, which could be kind of hard when you have that much money and people got skeletons in their closet and stuff like that. So rest in peace to Jim Irsay. And of course, the impact he had on us. We'd be remiss. We're a Commanders podcast. The impact he had on us is insane. All this has happened, I think, because Jim spoke up, right? Dan still has the team. Yapich still has the team if Jim doesn't say anything, because none of the owners said anything, but he did. And it has changed our relationship with the team. It has brought so many fans back, all because that guy said something.
100%.
And so, yeah, absolutely rest in peace to him. Rest in peace to him regardless. But the impact he's had on us is tremendous.
No doubt.
And so, yeah, very, very well said, KDot. And that was the common mailbag. And that was the rest in peace to Mr. Jim Irsay. And this was the show. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. And thank you so much for listening to today's episode where we went through the initial part of OTAs as they continue to get back in the building over there. And we talked about Jayden Daniels interviewing both with the media and with Bryan Colbert specifically. And then, of course, we talked about the Commanders log, how cool that was. And the longest comment mailbag we've ever had, courtesy of Rio Robinson being with us. We really appreciate that one more time. So if you enjoyed, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
Please do not let the follow-up to the Rio episode be 100 views and no comments. It would really suck.
I'm looking forward to it.
Be a downer. Also, make sure in those comments you drop a happy belated birthday to our guy, our number one, the professional man it is. I was feeling like shit last week until we got to the RG3 thing, and then all other things left my brain. It was our guy Amit's birthday last week, right after the episode. We know Clarendon is still standing, so congratulations. Good job for everybody. I really appreciate all of those that kept him locked down enough, but happy birthday, happy belated birthday, brother.
No, really appreciate it. Hey, love you, KDot, so much. Really appreciate it, brother. And yeah, no, I mean, thanks to people like you. I was held in check that night, and so thoroughly appreciate it. And we will see you guys next.
Hang on, I ain't done. I should have put the thank you on for all this, but I still got to drop the words.
Oh yeah. Excuse me.
They whisper in circles, never say what they meant. Passive aggression's how them white boys vent. It's the voodoo they do. All smug and legit. But we speak in truth and passion over here on DD. So that's it.
Share this shit. We greatly appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, as always. And we will see you guys next Friday, 2 p.m. per usual. Share this shit. We want to keep growing, and it takes you guys to help us do that. So until then, take it easy, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.